They have vision on the lead, but he doesn't know. Okay. Nice. The reason Red Team knew, by the way, that they were not spotted is because of Misfortune's Dustblade. Welcome everyone to another Challenger analysis, and we are looking in 8.21 at Frilla's Misfortune today, which, well, he played this Corrupting Potion build, and I was afraid it would no longer be working because of Time Warp Tonic changes on the PvE, but those changes will probably come live in pre-season and not earlier, so he is still good to go, and he is still using his Corrupting Potion build, as you can see. So I'll give you a quick introduction to the build real quick. Real quick. Never mind. It is E max, so E level 1 and E max by level 9, with first item Corrupting Potion, and he takes pretty much every mana sustain he can get from his runes. So Arcane Comet, Manaflow Band, Celerity Gathering Storm with Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic, obviously. So he plays this build in order to be super oppressive in lane. Typically he goes for triple lethality, so Ghostblade, Dustblade, Edge of Night, which should even, well, not should, but this is looking rough. Alright, he gets the... already a lot going on there. Not even giving me time to explain the build. Alright, maybe I should have started the video a little bit earlier, but Frilla taking a nice escape path there through the Tribush. Alright, situation seems to have been resolved. Kill on the Lee Sin and kill on Misfortune, which is nice for Frilla. So, what was I about to say? Yes, the triple lethality is buffed because not only is Edge of Night cheaper, but also the active got better, and it's quite noticeable. I've played with Edge of Night 2 already, as you know if you watch my videos, and it feels really good. It's pretty much 33% faster when you channel for your shield, so it's quite significant. And yeah, Frilla, generally speaking, does this. He builds triple lethality, then another Serrated Dirk, and then a Guardian Angel. This is his go-to build, and Boots of Swiftness, and sometimes Ninja Tabi. Alright, and he is playing against Ezreal, who got buffed this patch. Generally speaking, we have a lot of buffed champions this patch, so Misfortune indirectly buffed through the Edge of Night buff. Zoe buffed directly through her abilities, and Ezreal too. Got a higher ratio on his W. The reworked ability, right? And Frilla taking a lot of aggressive trades there, which generally speaking is fine, but he is already out of corrupting stacks, so he needs to be a little bit careful. Obviously the gank really hurt in the beginning. Oh god, Janna dying again. This is not looking too good. Yeah, Frilla should definitely retreat. He will lose all these minions to the tower, but well, if the game is a complete stomp, it's always a little bit boring, so I prefer to watch games in which the players can truly show their skill by resolving seemingly impossible situations. And playing with a massive disadvantage this early on is definitely a challenge. Frilla, with his kill, had enough gold for a Serrated Dirk, which will go into his Ghostblade. And now he has his 3 corrupting stacks again. Ezreal recalls, does not buy any combat stats, well, 1 longsword, but so be it. And obviously Frilla got his stacks back. Ezreal needed to buy another potion, so Frilla has now a quite significant item advantage over Ezreal, and he should look to use it in order to regain pressure in lane. Janna is going to roam, as you can see, which is fine because right now there's not too much going on in the bot lane. Both of the enemy bot laners are gone, and Frilla slow pushing the wave. This well, this wave will stack up even more if the next wave arrives in time, and Ezreal does not have the best wave clear, so yeah, okay, already thins out the wave. What he could have been doing is, since Janna isn't there, which is probably the correct play from his perspective, is just let the wave kill his minions and zone Frilla from XP, because he cannot walk up 1v2 and he loses these minions experience-wise already. Had Ezreal not pushed already, or from the beginning, the wave could have been way worse for Frilla. Now it's still somewhat manageable. Yeah, Ezreal pushes it, which is a huge mistake. He shouldn't be pushing in this situation. Well, he already messed it up to the point where he cannot really, where he has not really a slow push going. Oh goodness, Frilla walked up way too far. Took a lot of damage there. 2 corrupting stacks down, alright. Okay, they pushed it in, which is a huge mistake. Had Ezreal played this correctly, Frilla would still be standing at the tower doing nothing. The wave would be here or somewhere, and Frilla wouldn't get a single minion and lose all minions experience-wise. Alright, but he is somewhat lucky that Ezreal played this incorrectly. And now Janna is back and they can finally start to lane again. It's understandable that Frilla got a little bit frustrated and walked up to them, but had he not done that, he would be at way more HP right now. And maybe he could have done something. Yeah, but Janna just dies again for free, and Frilla needs to recall. Wow. Okay. He definitely should have taken into account that Ezreal can ulti him, but I can understand. I didn't think about it either right now, so well, it's always hard to keep track of all the enemies' abilities. But if you want to win the game, you obviously need to do that, or need to get in the habit of doing that. Now Ezreal with a massive advantage. Not only does he have 2 kills and 2 assists, but he also out-farmed Frilla due to Janna's roam. This is looking grim, and generally speaking, blue team is miles ahead of red team. Mid lane is fine for red team, but the other lanes are just disastrous. Jungle difference, top lane difference, and bot lane difference. Well, but Frilla will do a lot in this game. I looked at the damage graph, so I'm excited how he makes this comeback happen. Talia bot side, and well, if you well, level 1-2 doesn't count right now for this. Red team did not really see too much jungle pressure, obviously, because they are under tower, so Lee Sin cannot do too much. And Janna dies again, almost. Okay, now Talia comes. Yeah, red team didn't need to worry about Lee Sin too much so far. Damn, my phrasing today. This could be good. Let's look at this again real quick. Alright, Talia comes in. Janna is about to recall, but then she rejoins the fight, which is good, because she can stay relatively safe. And Frilla flashing aggressively on the enemy supports, which ultimately gets him the double kill. Yeah. Target priority is the key factor in this play, I would say. You walk, well, obviously you want to damage the biggest threat, so the damage dealer, in this case the ADC. Generally speaking, in bot lane, your highest priority target is always the enemy ADC. Especially in 2v2 fights, because they dish out the most damage. Except if they have a brand support, then you need to focus the brand support, because he does way more damage than the ADC, especially early levels. Sometimes even late game, so brand always a priority target. But in this lane, in a 2v2 fight, you always damage the damage dealer. And, well, Ezreal was out of range. This is hard to explain. Nami was low enough to the point where one auto would kill her, so flashing onto her and preventing her from doing anything is more valuable than getting an extra auto off on the Ezreal. And doing that allowed him ultimately to win the fight. Alright, this was way more complicated than it needed to be, but so be it. Janna is 0-5 right now, which is terrible. But Frilla is still, well, against all odds, Frilla is still holding his own. Might be iffy though. Janna is not there again, and they can dive him. There's no doubt about that. Oh yes, he's getting dove. Right. Yeah, nice control ward there. If you're under tower 24/7, a control ward like this can save your life, as you see. Nothing you can do. But this is the important part. Most people, especially in lower elos, they get frustrated. They walk up for some random CS and, well, then they die. So very good on him, really showing his resolve, his decision making. Well, he's a challenger player on the EOS server, so that speaks for itself. But it really shows in his playmaking there, in his patience. Being impatient is such a big issue in lower elos. And is Janna AFK? What is she even doing? I would be tilted off the face of the earth right now. I would be so mad. Well, he is too. He's spam pinging her, so... it's not always easy to keep your cool. And as you see, he is almost maxed out at level 8. He put another point into Q, so Q is the second ability he maxes. And at W he maxes last. I don't really like having too little attack speed on Misfortune or an AD carry in general, so I started to run Berserker's Greaves more often than not these days. But as I've said, Frilla will buy Swifties this game. There's no real reason for him to buy Tabby, so he buys Swifties. He would probably buy Tabby if there were, well, if the enemy were full AD, or if there were 2 assassins in the enemy team, or something like that. And despite everything that has happened to him on lane, his farm is still exceptionally good. So we are at 13 minutes and he's at 91 farm. That's perfectly reasonable. And right now, red team is obviously massively behind, which means you don't really play proactively, but reactively. You need to predict what the enemy is going to do and then react accordingly in order to blow them out. Okay, maybe he can ult there. No, they're already running. Iffy ultimate. Yeah. The problem here was... I can show you again. You see him running in, and Janna's already dead, so they already start running and have no incentive of staying. So against enemies that are running, ulting is really a bad choice, generally speaking, because well, they are not really forced to stay in the area. You see, Ezreal is completely whiffed, and Zoe is so close to the Misfortune and so mobile that you can easily walk out. And yeah, that was pretty close to be fair, but in the end, yeah, the positioning disadvantage got Zoe the edge, so to say. Tough game. Ezreal at 6 kills now. Blue team needs to do a major throw if the red team comes back into this. And this game is pretty close. I swear. I looked at the gold graph, I looked at everything before downloading the replay, and this game is super close. You see he's working on his second lethality item, which is Duskblade. And I missed a kill there, what happened? Alright, so Frilla runs it down mid. Well, not really. But don't really know what he's looking to do mid lane. But for some reason, both teams gather mid lane, even though there is no objective nearby that's worth fighting over. And Nami just suicides into the Misfortune. I'm not really sure what that was. Maybe one of you in the comments can clarify if you know what the reasoning behind this could have been. I don't know. I mean, next dragon. When is next dragon? How can I see? Damn, I can't really see anything about the dragon. Okay. The dragon currently not on the map. There's gotta be a way. Shouldn't it say in the upper left corner when the next dragon is spawning? Oh well. I'm confused. I'm really confused right now. Okay, Frilla, however, still in mid lane, and... well, they don't have vision on Rift, and it's currently under attack. Okay, now they start to challenge it. Frilla's still in mid lane, pushing out the wave. Well, Talia and Janna managed to fend off the enemy team. So that's good. Alright. First of all, Frilla, if you're watching, what was your plan? I mean, you are in the river near mid lane, and there's nothing to gain there. The wave is already pushed, and you don't know if you walk over wards or not. So I'm not too sure what that was, but you paid with your life for it, right? Maybe he's frustrated. I don't know. Talia dies here, for sure. Yeah, losing a tier 2 at 16 minutes is very devastating. The pings are coming. Rift Herald obviously would be nice for blue team to close out the game. Yeah, they're going at it. It's warded though. Okay, control ward coming. Nice, nice. And by not attacking this ward, this is also something a lot of players don't know. If you place a control ward and it blocks out vision from a ward, if you don't attack the ward, but now you see all the red team can see is the particle effects, which are always visible, even in Fog of War. But they don't have vision, and as long as blue team doesn't attack this ward, they won't, because vision is blocked. But if blue team attacks this ward, the vision comes back, so it's always very much... it's always... Why am I making everything so complicated today? I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll break it down in one sentence. If you block out a ward, never attack it. Alright. That's everything you need to know. And... Red team's getting an Infernal Drake for this. Crazy. That was kind of bad planning from the blue team. I should have recalled to maintain tempo and guarded the Infernal Drake. Well, to be fair, Infernal Drake is kind of the late game Drake, and if you're looking to close out the game early with Rift Herald, you could maybe afford to neglect an Infernal Drake, but it's very risky and I would probably not take the risk. Okay, this is E-ulti. Nice. That was huge damage. I think blue team is too far ahead though, especially the Ezreal. It just murders everyone now. Oh, the tower. Did he live? Yes, he did. Yeah, what a huge blowout. Holy moly. Yes, and after winning a teamfight like this, you obviously can just place Rift Herald and run it down. I would guess red team will lose an inhib for this. Yeah, they cannot defend this. The numbers disadvantage is too huge. The inhib is gone. Just protect the Nexus turrets, there's no point in fighting there. Alright, Nexus turrets are safe. Ahri, okay. Ahri gets a kill on the Ezreal, okay. Fair enough, trading. And now blue team pretty much needs to run because of, well, typical overstay. Enemy returns with full health, full mana, and spend their gold. And you're still way too far overextended. Yeah, but it's worth. Well, the shutdown on the Ezreal is obviously bad, but getting an inhib top lane at 20 minutes is super huge. The earlier in the game, the harder it is to deal with super minions. Obviously. That's a nice trade. I would take that. Risky to attack the control ward there, obviously, but worked out in the end. This Janna is definitely not doing a good job this game. No doubt about that. Alright, and you see Boots of Swiftness. Well, I don't know, is the camera in this area? Okay, I can just tell you the items anyway. Yeah, Misfortune sitting on Boots of Swiftness with Ghostblade and Duskblade and Corrupting Potion and a Longsword, which she will use to build her Edge of Night. It's very hard to do anything on the map. Everything, well, the only thing Red Team can really do in this situation is just turtle, try to not lose Baron, and try to hold towers. Hope to scale into the late game. Reworked Ezreal scales quite nicely in my opinion, but I would still say a Misfortune outscales him. I didn't pay attention, I was thinking about Ezreal's scaling. Alright. So, Red Team doing the right thing, trying to hold the turret. And what is Nami doing there? She's trying to flank the supports on her own and trades her life for the 0 and 11 Janna. Oh well, they get the turret though, which so I guess it worked out, but I don't know. I wouldn't flank as an enchanter support. They have vision on the lead, but he doesn't know. Okay. Nice. The reason Red Team knew, by the way, that they were not spotted is because of Misfortune's Duskblade. And even though, well, the passive was not on cooldown right there, but even if it was, you can still see if you're spotted or not, because obviously you have this Night Stalker buff while you're unseen, and if you're standing on a ward, the Night Stalker buff goes away. Fighting over Baron, probably a good idea, but Misfortune's running very low from the Victor ulti. And you cannot stall there forever as Red Team because of supers. This is pretty much the typical checkmate situation, which Blue Team tries to create, and it would even be stronger if bot inhibitor was down instead of top inhibitor, because you can just stall at Baron and threaten to do Baron, but Red Team cannot just be standing there indefinitely and fend you off, because supers will sooner or later take the base. They already lost one turret for it, and well, the longer you stall... Oh goodness, this Janna is really something. The longer you stall from Blue Team's perspective, the harder it gets for Red Team to respond. Red Team pretty much needs to hard engage before the supers do too much damage to the base. And hard engaging 5v5 is obviously not a good idea if you're behind, so this is why it's a checkmate situation. Okay, the Baron steal, definitely very important to get back into this game. So let's look at this. Wait, you are not spoilered anyway because of the camera, so I can just bring back time controls and we can break this down. Alright. So Blue Team currently at Baron, which is risky because the Red Team's jungler is still alive. And Talia manages to smite the Baron. Nobody's on Misfortune really. Zoe, yes, she tries to hit her with a trouble bubble. But obviously there's a delay between getting hit and between falling asleep. So She needs to run. Yeah, this was very good for red team. And remember, they already have one Infernal Drake. Ah, the time controls also hide the dragon. I see. Yeah. If they take second Infernal now, late game is pretty much theirs. Yeah, the mistake blue team made there was well, they pretty much had red team in the fork of either pressuring Baron or losing their base. So starting Baron was a mistake. Blue team never wants to start Baron because the only way red team is getting out of this impossible situation is with a hard engage. And when you start Baron, Baron attacks you, well, your whole team, and you get in a magic resist debuff, an armor debuff, and you take damage. Yeah, and so it's very easy for, well, it's very inviting for red team to just hard engage on you and try to force that team fight, which is exactly what happened. So blue team, by starting Baron, threw away their entire lead. I would even say it's even now, or red team might be slightly ahead. Well, as far as buildings, Inhibitor has respawned. Obviously, red team has fewer turrets, but they have double Infernal and they have Baron buff right now. That was a huge swing. And Misfortune is now sitting at Ghostblade, Dustblade, Edge of Night with a well, with Swifties and BF Sword with Long Sword. So what red team wants to be doing now is okay. Both teams kind of feeling each other out. Yeah, but what red team needs to avoid is going into the jungle, because you want to make use of the Baron buff. You want to go to lanes, buff up the minions, and push. And Ari doing the split push without Baron buff. Okay. Okay. Maybe she shouldn't be split pushing if she doesn't have Baron. Alright, Aatrox comes to her aid now. Tower falls. Alright, not too much blue team can do there. Wow, and this was the crucial part about this teamfight was really the Talia ulti. You see how the enemy is split up, which basically creates a numbers disadvantage for blue team. Talia ulting, and somehow, okay, this was just a, well, it was an awkward position because you don't want to be cornered against a Misfortune ulti, or potential, or the threat of a Misfortune ulti. So two of them jump out, and this ultimately leaves the other two to die. Now you got numbers disadvantage 100%. Right? Okay, this now staying there would be greedy. You should probably just recall and push another lane. Wait, what? Ah, okay, it's just raw ulting the Victor. Not even combining it with E or something. Okay. Okay, obviously if the blue team just decide to drop dead one by one, you can finish the game off of this. But yes, the blue team had this in the bag, 100%. 100%, no doubt. But they just decided to throw it away. As I've explained, the problem is, if you have them in this situation, you don't want to play towards their winning condition, and, well, the situation obviously being the fork between the... Wait, why did it go away? Alright, doesn't matter, I can explain it without the screen. If you have one inhibitor down, and the Baron is still on the field, you don't want to start Baron, because that's exactly what red team wants. Red team wants an invitation to start a fight, and if you don't give it to them, then they lose 100%. But if you give them this chance of acing you, for example, or of stealing the Baron, then you, well, it's an unnecessary risk. It's not the winning play in that situation. But it's also very hard to do in solo queue from Blue Team's perspective, because the chance of one of your teammates getting greedy and starting Baron and the other one's following because they think, okay, now we have to, it's pretty high. Alright, but to be fair, I still don't really understand how Frilla does it, even though I look at a lot of games. He seems to be somewhat high in farm, even without attack speed, and he's still always kind of present, even though he has no lifesteal. But, well, I'm here to learn. We're all here to learn. And, well, this game was obviously not quote-unquote carried by Frilla. He obviously did a great job at being patient, but the main thing here was obviously the blue team throwing it completely away. Alright, so this was another challenger analysis of the Arcane Comet Corrupting Potion build, and if you want to learn more about Misfortune, there are videos on the screen somewhere, so you can click on them. And if you don't have the time right now, you can also just subscribe. It's also on the screen. And I hope you have a nice day, and to see you tomorrow. Bye!